Hi, this is Mr. Cardoso, and in this video, I'm going to introduce you to programming in Turing, the Turing programming language. This is the Turing programming language interface, and a programming language is just about writing instructions in a way that the computer can understand. So we write some instructions, and then there's something called a compiler, which converts the instructions that we write into machine code that the computer can understand. So let's stop there with that explanation and go ahead and write some code so you can see what the codes look like. So in this video, we're going to talk a little bit about the put command. So we just write put, and this is the command in Turing that allows us to output something onto the screen or print something to the screen. So if I write, for example, put 3, that should actually put the number 3 to the output screen for the user to see. Let's try, for example, put 5 minus 7. Let's see what that does. And let's try, okay, let's go ahead and run it. So these are actually two commands or two instructions that we have written that we understand, and now we press the run button. When we press the run button, these instructions that we understand are going to be translated into a machine code and then run by the computer. And we're going to see another window show up that is going to explain or that's going to do or follow the instructions that we have written here. So there's my other window. I'll bring it down to the screen. So the first instruction says put 3, so you see that 3 is output to the screen. The next instruction says put 5 minus 7, and so we had the computer do a little bit of math. So the instruction was to do some math, do a subtraction, and you can see that minus 2 shows up there. So I'm going to close that now. This is what the user would see if they ran this program. So this is what we're programming, our instructions. So now let's try playing around with the put command a little more. Let's try if we put 5 minus 7 in quotations. Well, what happens now? Well, this line doesn't have quotations, this one does. So I'm going to hit run again, which again compiles, and translate them into machine code. Let's see what happens here. So now the put 5 minus 7 actually does the math, and you can see that 5 minus 7 is negative 2. And here, when we put quotations around them, we actually get what shows up inside the quotations just spit out exactly as is. So that's a way for us to be able to put some text into the put command. So then what if we try, outputting a message? We can say put hello world. Okay, and that should show up onto the screen there, as you see there. Okay, so each one of these instructions is showing up here. You can see there is an order, so this is like a sequential order of instructions. We're writing instructions, and the computer will simply follow the instructions in the order that we have written them. We'll learn later on through looping and if statements and such that you can change the order and have the computer do a certain instruction a number of times if you need to. But basically, what programming is writing text instructions and having the computer follow those instructions in a certain order. Okay, now, I'm going to go back up here, and just whenever we write a program, we should include some comments. What the comments are is they are ignored by the compiler, which means the computer, they're not instructions that are going to be followed by the computer. They're going to be completely ignored, and the benefit of the comments is that it explains what the program is doing. So to input a comment into Turing, we use the %sign, and that's going to turn all the text green. So we're going to say this program introduces programming or in Turing. If I want to go to the next line, I have to put another comment or another, %sign to get the Turing program to ignore this line as well. So this program introduces programming in Turing, and specifically the put command. Okay. It's also a good idea in your comments at the top to put the date. So I'll say February 26th and your name, Mr. Cardos. Okay. So all of this is not actually instructions or programming code. It's just comments. It's for anyone who opens the program. They know what the program's going to do, and they know who wrote it and when it was written. So this is just helpful information. It's like writing your name on the front cover of a report. It's not the report itself. It's kind of like a title page. Okay. You can actually put comments on any line if you want to explain. So this line computes subtraction. So if there were any complicated line of code in your program, you could explain it using a comment. Okay. So let's explore a little bit more the put command. And just before I do that, actually, let me run it and show you that there's no change. So those 4 lines of code, 1, 2, 3, 4, are the only ones that are run here. Everything in green, which is a comment, is ignored. Okay. Now, just a couple more things about the put command. If I wanted to type something really long, this is a really long, I forgot the other L here, and I wanted to type a really long message, but I didn't want to go to the next line, or I didn't want to keep going or scrolling to the right. Here, as you can see, it's scrolling to the right. So what I can do is put an end quotation here and put a dot at the end. Go to the next line and I say message. So this is a really long message. Now, what the dot allows me to do is output these 2 messages, or take this message and put it right beside this one. So when we run it, it will all appear on one line, but in the programming code it allows us to separate so we don't have to scroll too much to the right and the left. Okay, so you can see that the word message came up right at the end here. Notice how I left the space so that there's this space here, otherwise the message would be right beside the G. So the message comes right there beside this because of the 2 dots. If I erase the 2 dots, you can see that the word message comes on the next line. So that's what the 2 dots does.